Help support our coverage using Blueberry, the community that gives creators the ability to make money, get detailed audience measurements, and host their audio and video. Get 30 days to try out the service using promo code Blueberry004. That's BLUBRRY004.
Steve, how are you? How you been?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yep, all things considered.
You know, I'm kind of just off the top. What's your take on the show?
Yeah. Do you want to save that for the interview? Is that what you want to talk about?
Oh, well,
or you just asking me off?
I just asked you off the cuff.
Well, I'm gonna use this number, 40%. Everything is 40%, plus or minus.
Yeah, I think you're about right.
You know,
people-wise, we're definitely way lower than 40%, but vendor-wise, 40%. I think that's about right.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is, with all the news of the big companies that have pulled out, the smaller ones can't afford to pull out.
That's right.
They invest so much time and money in this.
I was just saying, there's more foreign companies here than there are American companies.
Are there really?
Well, at least downstairs.
Yeah.
So it kind of blew me away on that part. But anyway, we can talk about that more later.
Yeah.
So what are you here to talk about today?
Well, I thought we would talk about doing PR in a COVID environment.
Sure.
Like this is our 20th year here, so I've seen it all. Yeah. And I thought maybe we would, talk about just what you asked me. What are the differences? Yeah. Is it still effective? Is it still good for people to be here?
Here's the thing, and him and I were just talking about this before you came on the mic. We've known you for years.
Right.
And we love working with your guests, and you bring them up. You always bring us quality product. But for a period of time, the PR folks almost acted like we were doing them a favor. And it wasn't this good, cohesive relationship. It didn't feel good. It felt like we were giving more than we were getting.
Right.
And this year, it's almost like there's been a reset.
Oh, interesting.
It feels like it's a reset because the PR people are... And not that PR, your job is to protect your client, get your client exposure, keep them moving, right? My job is to get as much information as I can and maybe build a relationship with them down the road.
Right.
And for this year, though, I don't think there's a lot of PR reps here. Maybe I'm wrong, but what is, your industry, what do you feel? Do you feel that there's lower numbers of PR people here?
Oh, there's definitely lower numbers. A lot more of the publicists are doing this virtually. But, when you walk around PepCom, CES Unveiled, and Showstoppers, they've all got somebody out there. All the exhibitors have somebody out there hawking their wares and trying to drag the journalists into their booth.
Sure.
We're no different.
Sure.
But yeah, the numbers are what they are. They're really way down, and the same holds true for publicists.
Yeah, I'm glad that CEA did continue to hold the show. I don't think they could have afforded not to. Number one, and I know that the press has been busting on them a bit, but this could have went away. This could have been canceled.
Yeah, well, I think, and we were chatting about this before we came on the air. I think, it's a matter of a lot of the smaller companies, and I don't just mean the startups. I mean the mid-range companies can't afford not to be here.
I know.
Look, if Hisense, Sony, Toyota, if they want to make an announcement, they can do it.
That's right.
Without CES.
That's right. They have their own PR machine. They got, yes.
But also, they have to take into account more than other firms the optics of them being here. Mm-hmm. Are they doing the right thing by their people, their customers?
Right.
The smaller companies, invest a lot of money, not just in their booth and the booth infrastructure, but what they expect to get out of this. So, again, they can't afford not to be here. So for them, it's important to, stick.
The story I always say is the first year I came to CES and had a camera, I walked into the very new company called GoPro. It wasn't a big booth. This is at the very early beginnings of them. Walked in, did an interview. They weren't necessarily maxing their credit card out, but they were new to the show. They didn't get a lot of exposure their first year. And I made a lifetime relationship with the GoPro team just by doing that interview. In the same token, walking down aisles, and there's a guy there with a 10x10. He's maxed out his credit card. He's brought prototypes to the show. He's trying to get a sale. And those companies now have grown into 100 by 100 booths.
Right.
But they started out in 10x10s, and Like here in Vegas, they rolled the dice to be here and make connections. So for me, it's exciting to see the small booths and see those folks that are here with their brand new product. They're trying to get on the market. I think that's what really CES to me is all about. It's fun to go in and see Samsung and Sony and all those folks, but you're herded like cats to those booths,
Yes.
and you're handled. And in the small booths, in the small vendors, it may not be a 10 by 10, maybe they're a 20 by 20. They've spent a butt ton of money to be here.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the exhibitors that you're talking about as the startups, usually they begin in Eureka Park,
Right.
where they have to pay $1,000, only have to pay $1,000 for their booth, $2,600 if they want power.
Yeah.
And that's a great startup opportunity for them. As a publicist, and especially as a publicist that manages some of these companies, it's really rewarding, as you say, to see these companies go from a Eureka Park startup to a 10 by 20, a 20 by 30 company.
Right.
I'm talking about the booth size,
Sure.
of course.
Yeah. And we always love, I call it grazing, going to Eureka Park and just walk by each booth and see that product is like, wow, what have you got? Let me talk to you. But I tell you where a lot of these companies fail. Signage.
Right.
Signage. If you're a publicist, please work with these companies on signage, because if I don't know in 3 seconds what they're doing or what they have, I may miss them,
Right.
Because we're walking by and someone grabbed me and they said, can you look? I'm like, well, what do you guys do? And once they explain, oh, that's cool, but I would have never, because you're looking at literally 1,000 vendors.
Yep.
And if they can't catch you, so make sure you tell your companies signage. Even if it's just like, we do this.
Yeah.
I don't care about the company name. We do this. Then that's what I want to. Because Chris, you and I were talking about it too, right? Same thing.
Yeah. It's kind of that concept of, sure, McDonald's is a brand, but you know what the sign means.
And that's
you know what the symbol means.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same advice we give to our corporate clients. Speak in sound bites. A reporter is not going to listen to a 20-minute conversation about the engineering of their product. They want to know real quickly, what is it and what does it do?
That's right.
Same thing with signage. There are companies here. You're 100% right. There are companies here. You'll walk by. I'm looking at Lumi down there, and I don't know what they do.
No idea.
Yeah.
Right.
But if there's a 2 or 3 word, a 5-word kicker or a theme line,
A kicker.
you might stop and look at it, or otherwise you're going to walk
and just
around.
keep on walking.
Yeah.
It's something at least to tell me this is, because I look in the booth, I'm like, oh, okay, keep going. I don't have time to stop.
Yeah, and that's just it. You're walking down an aisle of like 200 booths, so you got to know before you get to it.
No,
you got to be able to see ahead of time what it's about.
I call it the half step. I walk booths in a half step, and I do this, and you can see that they see the media badge, they want to grab you and pull you in, but they don't want to, So what's it been like operating with? I know that your business died for a whole year at least, right?
Yeah. We were fortunate that we were able to bring in a few clients to work CES virtually last year. And, it was certainly a challenge, but we also learned a ton. And what we learned is what the rest of the industry learned, is that you can operate in something of a hybrid capacity. Now, for a trade show, is it ideal? Absolutely not. Is it nice to have that extra element that you can bank on and work with? Yes, that's good. But CES won't be as efficient as it should be until we get back to fully normal.
Yeah, I made a PR person mad. They sent me an email and I said, I'm only interviewing people in person. I said, if I'm going to be here, you can be here. And didn't really go over so good, but
yeah, don't like the optics of that one.
No, but for me, it's the virtual. I've done virtual as an actual company on my regular business,
right?
And it was very, very tough. It's very, very tough to get good traction, get good people to talk to you, especially when you're doing B2C. Not necessarily B2B, maybe easier, but B2C, it was really, really tough.
But there is one benefit to doing things virtually that is different from the live event. And that is the opportunity to have that one-on-one conversation. When you go into a networking room, you might meet a few folks here and there, and, be able to interact. But when you are able to schedule a meeting, even if it's a 10-minute meeting, you've got that one-on-one time with that individual.
Yeah.
As a journalist, we love that.
Yeah.
And as a publicist, it's really, it's really a positive.
Yeah, and it's and another thing too is for any publicists that are listening to this, going off-site is challenging. So we're over at the Wynn, we're in suite such and such, and I'm like, okay, send me a car, pick me up in front of the Venetian, take me to the Wynn, have the car wait, I'll run up and do the interview, and then have the car bring me back to the Venetian. And they're like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, I don't have 2 hours to get an Uber, get over there, try to find the suite, So, yeah, if you're going to be doing suites, make sure you have a plan to get people in and out.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, Todd, because, and it's going to sound like I'm tooting my own horn as a PR guy, which I am. We do that.
That's smart.
Well, what we do is my business partner, Kenny, we rent a van. And if somebody from the Las Vegas Convention Center is doing your show, we're picking them up right outside the convention center, driving them here. Somebody's going to meet that person right down there, run them right up, do the interview, and we take them back.
So that way they're not out of the booth for 3 hours.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it works 2 ways.
Yeah. And that's the thing we've learned over the years.
Yeah.
That's just how it flies.
Yep. Like I said, with that hospitality suite last night, we walked and walked and walked, and one hotel sent us to the other hotel, and sent us back to the other hotel, and sent us back. And finally, the security guy was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't let you up there. You don't have a key. And I'm like, but I'm with media. I'm here to go to a hospitality suite. Yeah, but I can't let you up there. It's like, what? I spent an hour and a half walking around trying to get this thing.
This is so resonating.
Sorry, Scott.
Last trade show I was at, I thought I was going to a meeting in the suite at the Encore. Guess what? It was in the Wynn.
Yeah, so that makes it tough.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Scott, anything else before you bounce out here with us?
Oh, I'm sorry for me. No, I think this is great. I really appreciate it. I always love chatting with you.
Yeah.
I know you talk to a lot of the...
I'm sorry, I called you Scott.
That's
Steve.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I was looking around when you said, is Scott here?
Yeah, who's Scott?
No, I think that I love chatting with you because I think it gives you a little bit of a break about talking about the different companies and their products. This is a different perspective. Todd, I love CES. As I said, I've been coming here for 2 decades. I really enjoy the energy, and it's great building relationships. With guys like you and Kirk and Chris and Scott Ertz, and that's what it's all about.
So why don't you give there's companies that watch us too. So why don't you give a plug here for your company?
Sure. Brotman-Winter-Fried Communications. We're a sports entertainment, marketing, fun-oriented technology PR firm. We have a specific website for our tech clients. It's BWF, Brotman-Winter-Fried, BWFCESPR.com.
Outstanding.
And we do all sorts of publicity and promotion, not just at trade shows, but all year round.
Outstanding.
Thank you for the opportunity for the plug.
Thanks for being on. Appreciate it.
Always great to hang with you.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
TPN CES 2022 coverage is executive produced by Michelle Mendez. Technical directors are Kurt Corliss and Adam Barker. Associate producers are Nancy Ertz and Maurice McCoy. Interviews are edited by Joe Minnie. Hosts are Marlo Anderson, Todd Cochran, Scott Ertz, Christopher Jordan, Danielle Mendez, and Alante Sparks. Las Vegas studio provided by HC Productions. Remote studio provided by PLUGHITZ Productions. This has been a Tech Podcast Network production. Copyright 2022.